Hey everybody, welcome to today's webinar. Verl Workman here. I'm excited to be here with you today as we talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is how to make next year your best year ever in real estate. And we're going to do some business planning, we're going to do some goal setting, we're going to talk about structure and strategy, and maybe some systems and technology that will help you really think differently about where you are and where you want to go in 2018. I'd like to just do a couple of ground rules. First of all, no, I don't even want to call them ground rules. Let me just give you a couple of ideas. One is I want this call to be a little more interactive than normal. And so I'm going to encourage all of you that if you have questions or something that, you have a thorn in your shoe or something that's weighing heavily on you, what I'd like you to do is just use the little question section on your toolbar and type those questions in. I'll be monitoring questions during the webinar today, and I'll do my best to answer those questions. As we've had as we're coming off of 2018 is a phenomenal year. 2017 has been a phenomenal year. And we've had amazing people doing a lot of great things. Matter of fact, I just got a message from one of my coaches that a client that's been with us for 3 years finally hit the $1 million GCI number. And I got to tell you, in a market where this less than full-time agent never believed they could make 500,000, to see the text come in this morning that he hit his 7 figures, it makes me as a coach and me as a leader humbled to know that we have such amazing people that are in our programs. I love the energy and I'll tell you what, it also makes me humbled to know that I've got such great coaches that are making such a difference in people's lives. And it's fun to see them grow. Wherever you are, whatever market you're in, wherever you are today, I just want you to know that there's always another level, and that there's another level if you want to get there. But it's up to you to do the work, to actually put the effort in to make sure that you're able to get there. So that's what I'm going to focus on today, is helping you actually make that happen. All right, so let me just, as we get started here today, I encourage you to type your questions in. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to know, if you haven't heard about this, we are doing our first ever Workman Success Systems Teams event in Sarasota on January 9th and 10th. I mean, everybody wants to go to Florida in January. It's going to be a beautiful time. We're at a beautiful place. And I want to just make a special invitation to all of you to join us for the Workman Success Leverage 18. There's limited capacity in the room, but we still have some availability. This is for everybody on your team. We're going to be having a track for team leaders and a track for team members. We've got some amazing speakers that you've never heard of because they're from outside the real estate industry. I'm bringing Colin Boyd in all the way from Australia. He's an international speaker, a personal performance expert, and he has a unique obsession in helping leaders really communicate their ideas in a way that makes people take action. And not only is he a brilliant thought leader, but he has a unique style in helping people want to do the right things. And Heather Christie is another one of our keynote speakers who's going to be spending a full day with us. And she is coming, she's actually moved to Florida now, living in Florida, but she is a sharp individual that's really going to help her, that's really going to come in and help us understand not only how to be effective as leaders, but she's going to help us really understand how to hire the right kind of talent, how to understand people's DISC profiles and motivators, and debrief those assessments when we move to the interview process so that we can not only lead our people better, but so we can hire better. And of course, we have all the Workman Success coaches and trainers will be there. So it's a great place for you to come in and be part of something special. So when you launch and you're ready to build your business and you're looking at what it's going to take to go to the next level, I want you to think about the 3 pillars that we have. When you look at the Workman Success Triangle, our 3 pillars are based on purpose, productivity, and prosperity. And so let me tell you what that means. When we talk about setting our goals to do something outside of our comfort zone, to push ourselves beyond what we believe is possible, we have to have a core motivating value, a real purpose in life. For some people, they'll tell you that I just want to make more money. But I'll tell you that I'd say 99% of the time, when I have a conversation with someone and I'm really trying to help figure out what that real why is, very rarely is it about the money. It's not about how much they're going to make. It's what they believe the money is going to do for them. You've heard me talk a few times about a client like a Christy Buck. And Christy Buck would say that when she first started coaching with me, she filled out her assessment. And on her assessment, one of the questions I asked, do you have ample time for your family and business? And her exact quote was, no, I never feel like I should stop working and have time to be a mom. I work 13 hours a day because I feel like if I'm not working, I might not make ends meet. And so what she wanted to do is she wanted to grow her business, but her real core motivating value was, I want my life back. I want to be able to raise my boys. I don't want them raising each other. And when I read that as a core motivating value, it made me want to help her bring her on as a client. So I'm going to ask you all, what is your why? What is the reason that you want to do more than you're currently doing? And I want you to think about this for a minute. What's your real why? What's your purpose? What gets you up in the morning? What will get you to do the hard thing? Because if I know your real why, I have a greater ability to help you. So take a second, go into the questions, and I'd like you to just type out for me your real why. What is it that will allow me as your coach to hold you accountable by reminding you of this thing that's so important? What is your core motivating value? Victoria says financial freedom. Victoria, what does that mean, though? I want you to quantify that. Financial freedom for what? I mean, financial freedom to be able to do what? So the financial freedom is general. Maurice says family. I love that. But what do you mean by that? Is you want to be able to create a certain lifestyle for your family? I want you to be as specific as you can with your core value, because if I understand specifically what drives you, then I can specifically go back and help you. One lady said to me one time, she said, bro, I just want to make $150,000 a year. And I said, 150 grand, why that number? She says, I just know I can. I know that there's other agents out there not as good as me that are making more than that. And I said, yeah, but why? She said, what do you mean? I said, I want to know why that's so important to you. Why isn't it 250 or why isn't it 75,000? Go away and think about it. She came back to me and she says, well, I'll tell you, because that was my combined income before we were married. And I'm tired of telling my children that we don't have the money we used to have now that we're no longer married. So that is a real why. So when you look at your real whys and you're thinking about what drives or motivates you, I don't just want to be able to retire. I want to be able to retire wealthy. I want to be able to retire with real income. Let me bring this up so I can see my full questions here. Oops. Let me see. There you go. Okay, let me share with you some whys. Family, the ability to make a difference in other people's lives, to purchase our first home. Self-sufficiency. Gina, what does that mean? When you say self-sufficiency, I want you to expand on that. Like your real core motivating value. What it means for me to be self-sufficient, it means that I'm making $500,000 a year. It means that I don't have to rely on anybody else to be able to pay my bills. It means that I have money in the bank and I can go for 6 months without selling a house. It means that my kids are in the right schools. Self-sufficiency means something different to everybody. Be specific. I don't have any bills or debt. I love that one. Vicky wants to go on vacations and play more golf. I'm down with that. Let's see. Love that. Setting up my grandkids for their lives, for colleges and education, to be successful for my children, to not be in survival mode all the time. Have my debt paid off. I want to buy a beach house. Love that. Okay, Crystal, I'm going to use yours. I want to buy a beach house. I'm okay with that real why. It doesn't have to be this deep-seated, motivating core thing. I want to buy a beach house. Like, if you'll tell me how important that is to you, then I'll help you figure out what that plan looks like to be able to get there. So what has to happen to you financially in order for you to buy your beach house? You have to have X number of dollars saved up in the bank. You have to have a certain amount of debt paid off. You have to be able to have time to be able to go to the beach house. So I love that you have the beach house out there. So we work backwards into what that means. But it becomes a real motivating value. I love that. I get more organization. Okay, Israel, my questions aren't expanded. I can't, there we go. I was looking to be able to expand them. I couldn't see all the questions. By the way, love all of the feedback. No debt in 10 years. Be able to help my kids out so they don't have long loans for their colleges. Spend more time with my children. How much time? when you say you want to spend more time with your kids, I want you to define that. I want to spend, I want to have a date night with one of my kids each week. So every Friday, once a month, maybe once a month you alternate with your kids. And so I have 6 kids. I only see them twice a year. So I'd have to do it more often than that. So you do a date night with your kids. So I want to have a one-on-one with their mom or dad once a month. And I want to spend 1 week each year with just our small family. One of my good friends decided they were going to do Christmas in Hawaii this year. And I said, why are you doing that? And they said, because last year we asked our kids how much they remember from what they got for Christmas last year. You know what they said? They said the kids had no idea. They couldn't even remember 2 or 3 things that they got. And there were so many presents under the tree. So we decided we're going to create better experiences. And so instead of getting presents, we're going to create family experiences and create memories. I love your whys. Okay, so now that gives you a purpose. So thank you for participating. We'll do some more of this. So once you have your purpose dialed in, the next thing is how are we going to measure your productivity? And it's not just being more productive, but it's the activities that we focus on that'll get us to our goal quicker. So you have a real core motivating why, and then you have a goal you have to achieve financially. The why is what drives the goal. Now let's talk about what the goal is. So I'd like everybody to type in your financial goal for 2018. Where would you like to be in income for 2018? Just type it in. $100,000, $50,000, $1 million. I don't care what the number is. I have 250. I have $1 million. I have 500. Another 500. Another 200. Another 400. 250. Another $1 million. 250. 100,000. 225. There you go. Love it. 650. 787. I love that. 787.5. Tammy, I love it. 787.5. Bethany, I love your number. I want you to double it. 200, 500, 1.5. Don, why are you being an underachiever, man? Adam, 260. I like it. 6 figures. Kevin, 6 figures. Does that mean 800,000 or 100,000? You got to be way more specific than that. So, Kevin, I need you to give me your real number, because if you don't know what the real number is, it's kind of like saying to Siri, Siri, take me somewhere. How are you going to know when you get there? You got to be specific. Okay, Terry. Michelle, I love it. It's about time we hit that number. Mike, Ellen, very good. Okay, so you got your numbers in there. I love it. Gina says realistic but high for my market. I don't know what you mean by that, Gina. You mean the number you put in there? Okay, so what if I told you, and I want you to all think about this. So productivity. So now I want you to all do something a little bit different. I want you to now say, okay, in order to hit 100% of my goal, how many transactions do I have to do in order to be able to get there? So I want you to give me your transaction number. And so now take your number. This is not the class you probably thought you were going to be getting today. I'm going to show you how to make this your best year ever. And so we're going to actually work. So if you thought this is going to be a fun class, this is going to be serious. We're just rolling up our sleeves and going to work. You know why? Because I'm in the mood to go to work today. I just got up. Maurice, it's not 20 to 25. There is an exact number. So you take your income goal, you divide that by your average sales price. You tell me how many transactions that is in the year. It's not 20 to 25. It's either 25 or it's 26 or 27. I want you to round it up, Tara. So if yours is 26.6, it's 27. Okay? So Gary's got 84. All right, are you ready? The next thing I want you to do is, you've all got your numbers. Not everybody put their numbers in. You've been working on it. I want you to take your number, whether it's 20 or whether it's 80 or whether it's 100. And I want you to show me a business plan where 100% of your income goal is met by only selling listings. Now, if you're a buyer's agent, it doesn't count. But for those of you who are team leaders that are running your own business, so Gina, for you, all 24 of your transactions have to be listings. It's only 2 a month. Ron, all 36 of yours has to be listings. Gary, all 84 of yours have to be listings. Now, I'm going to mess with Gary for just a minute. I'm not going to mess with you, Gary, but I'm going to just talk to you for a second. Okay? 100% of your income, 100% of your livelihood, 100% of your ability has to be created by listings. So if you need 84 listings next year, divide that by 12. How many is that a month, Gary? I don't have my calculator. You're going to have to do the math for me. $12 times 7 is 84. So now that's 7 a month. So how many listing presentations do you need to go on in a month to be able to get 7 new listings each month? So how many listing presentations do you need to go on in order to get 7 listings? And if you say, okay, Gary, thank you for saying 10 to 12. Let's just use the number of 10. So 10 listings a month. So we have 4 weeks in a month. How many listing appointments do we need in a week in order to get to 10 a month? Basically, we need 4. I need 4 appointments a week in order to get 12 appointments. And of those 12 appointments, I'm only going to list 7 of them. Does that make sense? Okay, so now all of a sudden we're dialing it in. So we're taking our number of 84 closed transactions. We're agreeing that 100% of them have to be from listings. We have to generate 12 appointments a week. Okay, now, okay, Gary, I'm going to make your life a little bit scary. Here's the deal. You're going to make 100% of your goal next year. And when you do, you'll hit 100% of your income goal. But if you fall short by 1 listing, you're not going to get any of the money. So either you're going to get all 84 listings and you're going to knock it out of the park, or you're going to get 0 income. If you were to make that deal with me and you were to agree upon it and we shook hands, tell me how you would behave differently every day when you got up. When you get up every day knowing that you've got to get 4 appointments this week, how are you going to behave differently? What are you going to delegate? What are you going to take off your plate? Because what happens when you really understand the power of the listing, it changes the way that you approach the activities that you do in a day. If you know you're going to make $800,000 or you're going to make 0, and 0 is not an option for your family, you're going to get up every day and you are going to eat, drink, and sleep listings. You're going to get up every day and you're going to act and you're going to work like your life depends on it. You're going to get up every day and you're going to make sure you're calling for sell-by owners, expired. You're going to be working with new home construction. You're going to be following up with people that inquire on anything. You're going to be doing open houses. You're going to be doing the critical things that you know you need to do to be able to generate those 4 appointments a week. And you are going to go on appointments with everybody, knowing that some of them aren't even going to be ready yet, but that's okay because you want to become a master of the game. So I want you to take all of your goals and I want you to make a commitment that in 2018, you're going to generate 100% of your income goal with only working with listings. And Weaver, that is not going to be easy for you. 100% of your goal, it's only 100 units. Where's my end goal? Let me see where that is. 102. It's only 102 deals. It's not even that many. You do 100 deals a year just working with listings. And I've got people in your markets that are doing 200 and 300 listings a year. So doing 100 is not even that big of a deal. You may be number one in your company, but you're not number one in the marketplace. And there's a lot of opportunity for you to go out there and take other people's business. They're not even on this call. They're not even believing that it's possible. And so the difference between somebody who does 100 and someone who does 12 is it begins with believing it's possible. The second thing is, once you believe it's possible, then it becomes that you are willing to get up every day and work as if you don't have an option to fail. And you focus on those activities, it'll generate those appointments. That's what it means to be productive, so that every day is a productive day. The way we measure success at the end of each day is not by the number of closings we had. It's by whether or not we set the appointments that we need in order to get the closings by the end of the year. So we get up every day and we track the right things. All right, does this make sense, everybody? Okay, Andrew, I love that you're figuring your numbers out. Okay, some of you have never really focused on even really know how to get listings, and so we'll talk about that another time on another webinar. I'm just using the examples right here. Hang on just a second. Let me see if my webcam comes on. Let me see if my webcam comes on. All right, you guys all see me? This is my webcam. My little grandson came in to see me today. This is my little grandson, Tay. Tay, say hey to everybody. If you guys can see this, this is my little guy. This is why we get up and work so hard every morning. Can you say Merry Christmas? He's dressed up like an elf today. All right, that's it. I got to go back to work. See you, buddy. All right, turn that back off. All right, that's my guy. So I have 5 granddaughters and 1 little grandson. And he doesn't come in very often. Okay, so we're focused on the real why. Now let's go through, and we talked about the productivity, about how we're going to measure our productivity each day. The last piece of my triangle is prosperity. And that is understanding that it's not how much you gross, but it's how much you net. It's how much you keep. And do you build a business that has real leverage? You know, our theme for 2018 is leverage. All of our webinars are going to be on leverage. The conference is called Leverage because when you understand the power of leverage, so if I were to give you an example of what leverage means you leverage technology, you leverage human resources, you leverage company provided resources. It gives you the ability to lift a lot with a little bit of effort. So you have a high level of productivity without a high level of time. That's what makes a difference when you're dealing with when you're trying to be prosperous. And I'll tell you, leveraging human resources is, I believe, one of the keys to success in business and life. And so we build successful teams and help you get teams because it teaches you to leverage human resources, individual people that can keep your business going when you take your foot off the gas and want to go spend time with your family. We all want to spend more time with our families, and we love that, but we don't have an opportunity enough to do that because we're running our own business by ourselves. And so being prosperous is what's critical. It's the amount of money you keep, and creating leverage in your business gives you the ability to do that. All right, so how do you leverage your time to increase your sales and profitability? You have to have a plan, and you have to work that plan. Stephen Covey says that you have to begin with the end in mind. That most business failures begin with problems in the first phase. So there's 2 phases of a business plan. There's the mental creation, and then there's the physical creation. The mental creation is what was happening this morning when we were talking about what's possible. It's thinking about, hey man, what's possible? And here's what I could do, and then here's what it would look like, and you break it down. The physical creation is when you actually do the work. Most businesses fail during the mental creation of the business plan because you don't take the time to really break it down at a level of detail that's going to give you the success that you want. And so we have to make sure that we're really truly thinking about what we want in the end, beginning with the end in mind. I'm going to close there we go. All right. The next thing we have to do is we have to start with an income goal. Now, I'm going to make available to everybody. You'll be able to download a full copy of the business plan that we use with our coaching clients, so everybody can have access to this. But the three things that have to happen is you have to write it down, you have to build your plan, and then you have to execute. This is called the income goal sheet, where you put in your what your goal is, how much you want to make, what your commission is, your average sales price, whatever split you have, and then it does a calculation to help you figure out exactly what needs to happen from a transaction perspective in order for you to get to the number that you want. And so we'll just give that to you as one of your downloads. It'll be at the end of the webinar today. When we talk about the goals and the elements of making your business plan great, one of the things that you have to remember is that your goals need to be very specific. They have to be measurable. They have to be attainable. They have to be realistic, and they have to be timely. And so what that means is they're called SMART goals. No, I did not make that up. That's one of the most common acronyms used for goal setting. And so when we're doing SMART goals and we do specific goals, we make them specific. I want to make more money. How much more money by when? That's specific. Measurable is how are we going to measure when we've achieved that goal? Attainable, meaning what do we have to do to be able to attain that? And attainable is also someone who's never listed a house. If you set your goal to list 300 houses in 2018, it probably is attainable, but it may not be. I don't want you to set goals that you are frustrated after month 1 or 2 that you're not able to accomplish. I want you to set your goals just beyond your grasp, a little bit harder than what you think is possible. And then when we fall short of achieving your goal, it's a phenomenal year. I want you to set your goals just beyond your grasp, a little bit out of there. Okay? Attainable is important. And then of course, realistic and timely. The timely is the amount of time that you've set to accomplish that goal. We'll give you a landing page at the end where you'll be able to download the copy of my slide deck and also the business plan and stuff. When we're building our business plans, the next thing we do is we get into a SWOT analysis. Now, I can spend the whole time on SWOT, so I'm going to come back to that in just a minute if we have time. I want you to start the next phase of your business plan by breaking down where you want to be 5 years from now. And so I like to say, by the way, that's personal objectives. The next one's business objectives. On the business objectives, I go 5 years, and I say, okay, where do you want to be 5 years from now? And, you know, it was really interesting. I was in an interview last night, and I was interviewing someone as an executive assistant. And I asked the person, where do you see yourself 3 years from now? And she had a very clear vision of what her life was going to look like in 3 years. And we were aligned in our values, meaning that I loved where she was going, I loved what she wanted to accomplish, and I wanted to be part of the process to help her get there. And so if you have clarity on where you want to be 5 years from now, it makes it a lot easier for you to know what it's going to look like 12 months from now and whether or not you're going to be on track. And then, you know, where do you have to be 6 months from now if you're going to be on track to hit your 12-month goal? And so what we do is we start with big, broad brushstrokes of 5 years, then do 12 months, then do 1 year. And when you do that, you're going to find that you start getting clarity around what you're going to get up and do every day. Okay? The next thing I do is I say you got to have balance in 5 critical areas in your life. I believe that your faith, your family, your fun, your friends, and your fitness all have a massive impact on your finances. And if you have goals in each of those 5 areas, then you have greater balance in your life. And faith can mean whatever it means to you. But believing in something bigger than yourself gives purpose and meaning to your life. Knowing that there's going to be a day of reckoning or accountability changes the way that you interact with other people. And it changes the way that you choose to do things. And so I believe that I think that everybody should have something that they believe in that's bigger than themselves. And by doing that, it creates a better world for everybody. Family means, what does it mean to be successful in your family? How are you going to measure success? What are the things, you know, there's nothing that causes me more pain as a coach or as a father when a real estate agent comes up to me and says, hey, I'm a normal realtor, I'm divorced. When those words come out of someone's voice and they associate being a realtor with not being able to stay married, it makes my heart sad. And I don't believe that any other success in your life can or should compensate for failure in your homes. And so what does it mean to be successful in your family or your relationships, whatever that is to you? Write it down. You know, whatever personal is and whatever your social goals are, let's make sure that we write those things down. Okay. All right, Brian, this is for you. So I want to just talk to you a little bit about your SWOT analysis. And when you download the business plan workbook for today, you're going to get a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths are internal to you, meaning what do you have inside that makes you different? What are your strengths? An example of a strength would be a good negotiator, financial resources, a great sphere of influence, attention to detail, technology savvy. Those are all things that I would write down as strengths. So you make a list of all your strengths. Weaknesses are also your personal weaknesses. My weaknesses, there's a lot of them. If you're not sure what your weaknesses are, ask your spouse or your ex-spouse or someone that knows you really well. They'll be sure to tell you what your weaknesses are. I know what mine are. And oftentimes, it's the things that make us great. Our strengths are also our weaknesses. So it's not a bad thing. You just got to be self-aware. So I'm a freaking sales animal. I love sales and I love the sales process. And so because of that, it's not generally natural for someone who's really aggressive and a high DI salesperson to also have a really strong attention to detail. So my strength on one side is also my weakness on the other, which is I don't really like to pay attention to the details. So I have to have systems and people around me to make sure that things don't fall through the cracks. Other weaknesses might be fear of prospecting, fear of rejection, fear of failure, no financial resources. I don't have a good understanding of the market. I'm new in real estate. So those are all things that you might write down as your weaknesses. And so make a list of your strengths, make a list of your weaknesses. On the opportunity side of things, these are the opportunities that you're currently not taking advantage of that you should. And so what are some of those opportunities and what might that look like? Opportunities might be things like for sale by owners, work in your database or sphere of influence. It might be door knocking, open houses, working with investor clients, probate attorneys. There's a lot of different options of things that you can do as opportunities that you're currently not doing. And you can't do them all, but when you're doing your SWOT analysis, list them all. Now make a list of threats. Threats are things that are actually really good talking points, but I'm just going to say make a list of your threats or things that have the ability to affect your business. A pending war with North Korea, interest rates going up, tax reform, how it affects high-end properties, and you know there's some things that are going on that you don't have the ability to control, but you need to be very aware of, and those threats are critical. So you need to know them. And also when you understand the threats, it helps you message to your clients what's going on in the market to establish a higher level of credibility. So we do strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, what do you think I'm going to do with your strengths? With your strengths, I want to say, okay, these are my strengths. How do I apply my strengths to take advantage of the opportunities that are so clear right there? So how do I take advantage of the strengths? How do I take advantage of opportunities utilizing my strengths? I want to do what I'm good at, what I love, what I naturally gravitate towards. I don't want you to do anything that you don't want to do. If you don't want to work with buyers, don't work with buyers. If you don't want to do listings, don't work with listings. I want you to focus on the area of the business that you want to focus on, where you're going to have the highest likelihood of success. Does that make sense? And then I want you to look at your weaknesses. What do you think I'm going to tell you to do with your weaknesses? I want you to look at your weaknesses and I want you to delegate them. I want you to find someone else to do them. Look, you already suck at it, so why focus on it? Just delegate it. We spend so much time trying to get better at things. Now, there's some things we do need to focus on getting better on. Maybe I'm not a very good leader and I have to become a better leader, but I'm never going to be great at accounting. I'm never going to be great at bookkeeping. And so I have to delegate it and find somebody else to do those activities. So delegate it. So outsource it, create a system around it and find someone else to do it. You know, I love my sellers and I love my buyers. And you might say, because I love my buyers, I don't want to delegate that. I'm going to tell you that I love my buyers too, but I love my children and my grandchildren more. And I refuse to delegate them. And so if you have to choose between the two, which do you choose to delegate? Delegate the buyers. Or you can delegate your kids. I don't think you should delegate your spouse. It's awkward. One of the things I did for my wife a couple years ago for Christmas is I gave her a food nanny, someone that comes in 4 days a week and cooks for our family. They literally prepare Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday meals. They come in and cook it, and then we sit down as a family and eat 4 days a week, which is awesome. And then I cook on weekends. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm the cook. It costs me $150 a week to have somebody come in and cook for us. And so what that's done is it's allowed me to take my wife's weakness. Not only does she not like to cook, she hates cooking. And the only thing she hates worse is shopping for the food. And so for 28 years of marriage, she's done it because she's an amazing person, but it's always caused her anxiety and stress. And so by delegating that thing that is not her strength, that she doesn't like to do, it's completely changed her level of joy at home. And when mama's happy, everybody's happy. That simple thing of understanding what you should do and what you should delegate changes how you enjoy your life. Okay, that's strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats. All right, the next thing I want you to do is I'm going to share with you the 4 pillars of income. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this. So with the four pillars of income, when we're working on building your business plan, one of the things that a lot of people do is they break their business plan into 4 pillars, and then they put 25% of the revenue in each of the 4 pillars. What I'm going to teach you today is I'm going to teach you a little bit different strategy of working those 4 pillars. And this strategy is based on creating a business plan where 100% of your revenue has to be created from each of the 4 pillars. So let's use the example. If I needed to generate 4 appointments a week, when I set my business plan up, I'm going to come up with 4 different strategies that will allow me to create 4 appointments a week. And I'm going to work on each one of them as if it's the only thing that I do. Now think about this. So when you look at the target right here, in the center of your target, I always want you to put SOI. That's your sphere of influence. You know, we've got people on this call that do 100 transactions a year, and 80% of it comes from their sphere of influence because they work it. They do Brian Buffini pop buys. They call them up once a month. They do all of the activities that will generate a high level of referrals from their database. And so there's no reason you can't hit 100% of your goal in your sphere of influence. The problem is they put all of their eggs in one basket. And so if you have an off year, you work through your database and a huge percent of them moves one year, the next year they don't, you have a dip in your business. I don't want one of the things in business planning is I never want to see more than 25% of your business be in any single one of those pillars. And so when you're looking at all your pillars, you can't have more than 25% in each one. So the first one is your sphere of influence, and I want 100% of your income there. The second pillar, what's the second thing you can do to generate 4 listing appointments a week? Well, I'm going to put geographic farming. So geographic farming is an easy one because we know the numbers. I know that if you send X number of postcards out to the same area every single month consecutively, that we're starting to get a predictable result. When I send 1,000 cards out, I get 2 calls. Of the 2 calls, I get 1 appointment. If I need 4 appointments, I need to send out 4 times the number of cards. It's just a numbers game. And so when you do your mailings, you track the results, you track the offer until you dial in exactly how many pieces need to go out in order for you to generate those appointments. The next one might be, we might be doing something with, let's see, 4 appointments a week. I might do something like bold leads or prime seller leads. These are 2 online lead generation services that use Facebook marketing to get people to get their home valuations, and they put hundreds of leads in your back office. Your job then is to be able to follow up with them and call them. So now I've got 3. So I've got my sphere, I've got my farm. I'll call this one my digital media. So bold or prime seller leads would be 2 of them. And I need a 4th pillar. So a 4th pillar, I could do expireds and for sale by owners. And so how many expireds and for sale by owners do I need to call this week in order to get 4 appointments? Once you identify your 4 pillars, and these don't have to be the 4 you pick any 4 that you work that you choose to work on based on your strengths and the opportunities that you see. And then you go after them. Door knocking might be one. There is absolutely no reason that if you're not busy for you to go out and knock on doors. You just knock on doors and figure out how many doors you have to knock on to have a conversation, and how many conversations you have to get an appointment or to get a referral. And then once you understand your numbers, you know that you just get up every day and go knock on those doors. This is not a big deal. You just go do it. All right, so we're going to build your 4 pillars of income. Instead of doing 25% in each area, I want 100% of your listing goal to come out of each of the areas. If you build your action plan worksheet where 100% of your income comes out of each of the 4 areas, where do you think you're going to end up with in relationship to your goals? You have 4 ways, or 4 different pillars, or 4 ways of accomplishing 100% of your income goal. Where do you think you're going to end up with? Yeah, Maurice says, I'm going to exceed them. I call that failing up. I think that'd be a good name for a book, Failing Up. It's when we fail to accomplish 4 times our goal, and we end up beating our actual goal by double. Failing up is a good thing. I love failure. If I had never failed in my life, I would never have success. And so because of failure, it allows me to figure out what I'm doing wrong so I can fix it and move up to the next level. Failure rocks. I embrace failure. I eat failure for breakfast, and then I get on and make sure I don't duplicate those things again by lunch. The whole idea is we want to fail up. All right, so do you understand the concept of the 4 pillars? You got to work each one of your individual pillars as if it's the only thing you're going to do. All right, the next thing is that when it comes time to really start growing and scaling, it's time to start considering whether or not you should do a team. You know, does it make sense to delegate or to have somebody help you? When you know that 100% of your income goal has to come out of your 4 pillars and 100% of it has to be listings, you have to learn that you can't do the basic things that somebody else can do for 10 or 15 bucks an hour. You have to learn to delegate. So you have to allow yourself to stay relevant, increase your income and your sustainability, right? You have to be able to stay on the cutting edge of how business should be done. And that's what happens when you build a team. A team can be something as simple as this. It can really only be 2 people. It could be a team leader and a client care coordinator. A client care coordinator does everything you need him to do in the business. When the client care coordinator is doing over 100 transactions a year, then it comes time that you separate duties between a transaction coordinator and a marketing person. And so you split those activities up. A buyer's agent, the way that we do buyer's agents is based on the number of leads that are generated. So for every 25 leads we generate, we add a buyer's agent. Now, I can give you some other numbers. Like another number that's important for you to know is that for every listing you generate, you should also create between 6 and 8 leads a month. So if you have 10 listings, that's 60 to 80 leads, you need 3 buyer's agents to work them. Otherwise, you're going to get distracted following up with buyer leads, and you're not going to provide the high level of service, and it's going to take your eye off the ball of going after listings. And so you have to let that go. I'm telling you, how easy is it to give up buyers and to let it go? I'm just calling her out on that because I know how hard it is. Okay, you know, when we start building a significant team, this is what an elite team might look like. You have multiple buyer's agents, a listing partner, you have inside salespeople, we have lots of administrative staff, but it doesn't matter. When you get to this level of business and you're doing 200 to 300 transactions a year, you're actually working less than you are at 30 transactions a year because you've got leverage in your business. You have one person utilizing human resource leverage to be able to create more opportunities for them and to create a higher level of service for your clients. That's the beauty of having a team. Now, I don't care if you have a team or not. You can do it individually. You just have to make sure you right size your business based on that. All right, so let me see what I have here. So in order to start thinking differently about your world, I guess if I could share something with you for a minute, I want you to think about this concept. I don't have a slide for this, so maybe you could draw it. So draw a pyramid that has 4 different levels. So draw a bottom, the next level up, the 3rd level up, and the 4th level is the top. Mine looks like a birthday cake instead of a pyramid. In the bottom section, I want you to write the word experiences. In the second one, I want you to write the word beliefs. In the third one, I want you to write the word actions. And in the top, I want you to write the word results. Experiences, beliefs, actions, results. Experiences, beliefs, actions, results. So I believe that the experiences we've had in our life create the belief systems that we adhere to. And so because I've experienced some hard things, it's created a belief system that I can get through hard things. If you've never had anything hard and life's always been easy, your belief system is that life's always easy and somebody else will take care of the hard things for me. If you've never had poverty or you've never been really poor, you don't know what it's like to approach Christmas and have nothing under the tree. You don't know what it's like. I had a neighbor call me the other day, and they're on an inner city mission. And so they're down in downtown Salt Lake City, Utah, working with families that are less fortunate. And they said, bro, we have so much need here. Would your family mind taking on a sub for Santa? And my immediate response was, tell us what you need. Let's go. I want my kids to be able to experience that. And so when they came over to tell us about this family with 6 kids and 4 adults living in a household trying to make ends meet, and they went through each of the children, each of the family members, of what they needed, I was like, no problem. They goes, well, we can get somebody else to help you with this. I said, no, we got this. They said, well, no, it's a big ask. I said, look, I grew up where somebody else on Christmas Eve would show up at my house with gifts for myself and my brothers and sisters. We had nothing. We were so poor. And because I was on the other side of sub for Santa as a child growing up, when I have the opportunity to do that for somebody else, I chop at it. My experience in life created a belief system that says life's not easy, and even though you have good people, it doesn't mean that they have a good situation. We were good people and we were trying our best, but my dad was disabled and my mom was raising the family, and so we didn't have any. There were 7 kids. We didn't have any money, and so it was hard. But I'm a happy guy, and I grew up as a happy child, and I'm always grateful for the families that took our family and made our Christmases merry. And so my experiences in life created the belief system that I have today. And the beliefs that I have today drive my actions. And so I respond based on those beliefs. I hope this makes sense to everybody. And the actions that I take create the results that we get. Our belief in what's possible in real estate is based on our experiences up to this point. And so somebody who's setting a goal to sell 100 houses has a belief system that's based on some experiences that make it really clear they can do it. But somebody else doesn't have that belief system, and so they set their goal at 12 or 20. And it doesn't mean it's a bad goal or that you're not a super achiever. It just means that you haven't had the same experiences in your life to allow you to believe in what's possible. And so as a result of having limited beliefs, because you've had different experiences, we behave and our actions are based on those beliefs. So we take actions based on what we believe is true, and it isn't always true. And because of the actions we take, we get a certain result. Man, if I get nothing else through this call today, I want you to borrow my beliefs in what's possible until you can create your own. Now think about the power of what I just said. I want you to borrow my belief in what's possible for you until you have experiences that expand your own beliefs. And the way that you do that is you take action based on somebody else's beliefs until you have new experience based on those actions that give you a different result. Am I being too deep? I don't mean to give you a deep concept today. I just want you to understand that there is no limit to what you can accomplish. I believe that we're all sons and daughters of God. And so if we're sons and daughters of God, that means that our potential is unlimited. And so why do we have beliefs that limit what's possible? And the reason we have those limiting beliefs is because what we've experienced in life up to this point. I remember like when I first started my first business, 21 years old, and I'm selling hot tubs and satellite dishes. I set my goal to make 50 grand. Do you know why my goal was 50 grand? Because that's more than my dad had ever made as a school teacher. And I knew that if I could make $50,000, I would be a success. Well, my belief was that $50,000 was what success was. I always believed that our family was successful. I never had any other altering belief at $50,000 a year. I remember making $50,000 and thinking, okay, all right, I finally made it. Right? And then when I made it, it was only half the year. And so I had the option of either changing my belief in what's possible or taking my foot off the gas and coasting, feeling like I was a success. The first year we did hot tubs at the fair, I set my goal to sell 10 hot tubs. And so we set up at the Utah State Fair. I rented an inflatable gorilla. And when I rented this inflatable gorilla, I blew it up and I had a big goal. Goal was to sell 10. We made $1,000 on average per hot tub. We're going to make $10,000. And I was so excited. The last day of the fair, guess what? We hit our goal. And I was all excited. I went over to the frozen lemonade stand and I'm buying a frozen lemonade. And the guy behind me had a good looking shirt on that said Cal Spas. And I said, hey, how you guys doing over there at Cal Spa? And he says, we're doing pretty good. How you doing? I said, oh, we're doing good. We hit our goal. He says, what was your goal? I says, I don't want to say. All right, it was 10. What was your goal? He said, well, we got 10 this afternoon. I said, what do you mean? He says, we sold 100. How do two people at the same fair, talking to the same people, have such drastic results? The difference was one of them believed that 100 was possible and one believed 10 was possible. And so we each behaved based on that belief system. And so then I went over, and because I saw somebody else doing something I wasn't doing in the same market, I watched what they did and I copied what they did until I changed my belief. And then the next year we sold 70. And it completely changed my belief in what was possible. Okay, so I'm hoping this makes sense. So what I need you to do, folks, is I need you to look at what you believe is possible and ask yourself, are my beliefs limiting based on the experiences I've had up till now in my life? And how do I put myself into a place where I can have a different experience so that my beliefs are going to change? We get that by attending webinars like this, where we get that with working with a coach, someone who believes more in us than we believe in ourselves, by following systems. We get it by going to events. Your companies put on great events. You know, I just got done with an event in Las Vegas. It was just for teams. I'll do an event. You know, I do events all the time because I get hired to speak. I'd say most companies have great events. And the reason they do those experiences for you is they want you to form new beliefs that based on what you're experiencing at the event is going to help you accomplish more. And so get engaged and put yourself in a room where you're not the smartest person in the room or the most productive. So we want to put you into an environment where, hey, you're not the big hitter in there. Okay, I have to, so hold on just one second. That was my, let's see if I can. I have, there was a lot more stuff I wanted to talk about today, but I'm going to talk to you about a couple of things. The first thing I want to talk to you about is this, and that is you got to have a system to track the activities you do in a day. I promise you that if you spend your time doing dollar productive activities and you make a commitment to get 61 points a day, that you will hit your goals. But if you don't, you won't. If you want to hit your goals, start tracking the activities that generate the results you want. This is the Daily Success Habits Tracker. This is something I'm going to give you at the end of the webinar. I'm also going to tell you have to dare to delegate. There's different levels of delegation. I don't want to talk about this. Let me talk about something else. I want to talk about prioritization. This is probably the next area where most people really struggle, and that is their ability to prioritize. And that means that, you know, we have a tendency to chase whatever thing is making the most noise. You know, somebody asked me the other day, it was a really important question. They says, who do you coach? I go, what do you mean? Do you coach leaders or do you coach doers? I thought about that for a minute, and I have both. My leaders are the ones that are the most successful and have the greatest life balance. When I coach leaders, they understand the power of leverage, and their job is to develop people. When I coach doers, they're limited on what they can accomplish based on the number of hours they're having a day. And so I was challenged to remove from my list coaching doers and only focus on coaching leaders. Who is it that wants to be a true leader? And that's who I want to put my energy into. That was just such a mind-blowing thing for me. Prioritization. So my priority was I'm going to coach everybody. Now my priority is I'm looking for leaders. Okay, priorities. I look for when you figure out what you're going to do in a day. You all know the story of the big rocks. You know, the teacher stood up in front of the students and he said, I'm going to give you an example. He put the big rocks in, and then he put gravel in, and then he put sand in, and he put water in, and said, what's the moral of the story? And Eager Beaver on the front row says, well, no matter how much you have to do in a day, there's always room to get more in. And the teacher, of course, said, no, that's not the moral. The moral is if you don't put the big rocks in first, you won't get them all in. And so your job as a leader, your job as someone who really wants to grow, is to identify your big rocks and put them in first. What are the most important things you do? If you know you're not going to get paid this year unless you go on 4 listing appointments a week, one of your big rocks has to be prospecting for listings. And you don't stop until you have your 4 appointments this week. Another big rocks are my family. You know, I'm leaving my work today at 3:30 in the afternoon because my 16-year-old daughter is doing a singing and dancing performance. And so I put that in my calendar and I schedule that first because that's a big rock. We do what's called a perfect week scheduler, where we break down all of the things that we're going to do in a week if we wanted this week to be a perfect week. And so I always go in and I block out the things that are most important: family, faith, friends, fun, and fitness. And then I put in showing houses, or I show in, listing properties. I put in my daily huddle. I put in the things that are critical in my calendar first. You schedule it first. And then when somebody calls and says, I want to look at a house, instead of you saying, when do you want to go? You look at your perfect week and you say, I have morning and afternoon available. What would you prefer? And they say afternoon. And then I say, I can go on Tuesday and Thursday. And they say, okay, well, let's do Thursday. You schedule it for Thursday afternoon. That is the key to intentionally creating the business and new life and the life that you want in 2018. My goodness, time goes fast, doesn't it? All right. So we work on our daily success tracker. We work on our perfect week scheduler. We track the activities that generate the results we want. Stop tracking sales and start tracking activities. So when you're figuring out your business plans for 2018, focus on the activities that generate the results, and then every day get up and get those done first. Then when transactional duties and things come up, you can focus on them and not be distracted because you've done the activities that will generate the revenue you're looking for at the end of the year. All right, let me open up my questions for just a second to make sure. This perfect week says I don't see any lead generation time. And so usually what I'll have in here is I'll have an hour. This is just, I don't even know which perfect week this is. So I appreciate you bringing that one up here. But we have, there's always at least an hour to 2 hours of prospecting time in the mornings, afternoons, and the evenings. You're only seeing a portion of the perfect week, and that's why you're not seeing it, because we have it booked later in the day. The best time to prospect we've generally found is between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock. People have wound down at work. They're starting to answer their phones now, or they're, just getting home and they're willing to talk to you for just a minute before they sit down at the dinner table. So those are some activities. Okay, the next thing is putting yourself in experiences. It is interesting, and it's not the purpose of the slide, but I talked in the beginning about our leverage event. If you want to change an experience, if you want to have an experience that'll change your belief in what's possible, come spend a couple of days with my coaches and our clients that are making $1 million or $2 million or $3 or $4 million a year. Sit with their teams, their buyers agents, and the team leaders, and interact with them and see how we think and operate and run a business. That's the purpose of the leverage experience. We call it the ultimate team experience because I want you to have an experience that changes your belief in what's possible. There's no greater gift than you can give someone for Christmas than a ticket to leverage. So go to leverage18.com. WSSleverage18.com, put in the promo code Christmas18 to save $100 off the ticket price. Where is my Chad? I don't have a landing page to download the stuff from this event. You have a landing page for everybody? Go to workmansuccess.com. Is it 2 down? Oh, there you go. There it is. Chet knows what he's doing. It's workmansuccess.com, make it great. So if you go to workmansuccess.com/make it great, you can see, I'm going to give you my business plan workbook. You can get the perfect week scheduler, a copy of the daily success habits. And of course, for those of you that aren't currently in coaching with us, you can sign up for a free coaching consult where you'll have an opportunity to talk to one of my business consultants about what we do, how we do it, your business, and if there's a way that it makes sense for us to work together. We are not a hard sales company. It has to be a good fit. And then, of course, you can take a free disc assessment. And so whatever it is, wherever you are today, I want you to challenge yourself to increase what's possible. You've heard it said that if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, but if you teach a man to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. Well, at Workman Success Systems, our goal is to teach you how to fish and to teach you how to build and run a business that will pay you for the rest of your career, whether you're in real estate or any other business. Let me just go up. We're out of time, but I've got a couple of minutes if you want. If you have any questions, type them in the questions section right now, and I'll just answer any quick questions for you. Will a copy of the recording be sent? No, if you want a copy of the call, go to the landing page, which was this page right here. Text Make It Great to 44222, and we'll send you a copy of all of the downloads and a copy of the webinar. All right, so Maurice, I appreciate your questions. How does someone who, let's see, how does someone who doesn't really like being sales become successful at sales? It was really interesting. My business partner for 15 years was a guy by the name of Brent Gray. Brent was a high analytical, a high SC. He was much happier in front of his computer than he was in front of people. And so he read books and he studied scripts and dialogues and he practiced and became intentional about being successful in sales because it wasn't natural to him. And stop saying things like, I'm anti-sales. You're not anti-sales. Nothing happens in the world until a sales happens. You need to change the conversation going on in your head about what the value of a salesperson is. I think sales is the most noble calling. Like, I love great salespeople. You may be anti-slick salespeople. I don't like them either. But great salespeople don't talk you into things you don't want. What they do is they take the time to clearly understand who you are and clearly understand what your needs are and then provide really great solutions that make the most sense for your family. That's what great salespeople do. Great salespeople don't talk you into things. So if you feel like you're being manipulated or talked into something, then you're not with the right salesperson. So be in the service business where you really care about people to provide the right services, and start studying sales, and you can become a great salesperson. All right, any other questions? Everybody, I want to thank you all for being here today. Thank you for your time. I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, happy holiday season, and a Happy New Year. Let's make 2018 the best year we've ever had in real estate, and if you need some help, just reach out, and we're happy to help you. Thanks all for being here. Talk to you all soon.